Sandland. It's officially out. They got 7 episodes up on streaming platforms. The first 6 is the movie turned into episodes, and then the last one is the start to the next arc. And then it's going to be weekly episodes from here on out. And you bet that I'm here for the ride. I watched all 7 episodes today in a row, and I gotta say, I had a great time. It's one of those adventure animes that just let you fully dissociate from the harsh reality that we're living in and just have a good time adventuring with a demon in a dystopian world. Of course, there's some heavy subject matter like evil, money-hungry government and blind prejudice, but there's also funny demon punching bug guy and family of swimmers in a world with no water. It's funny. It's just a fun adventure, getting from point A to B in a zany way. Sandland is definitely more focused on the adventure and the world building and the characters than the fighting and super convoluted storyline. It does what it does really well, and that's making a crazy fun world to adventure in. It's really easy to watch this show and just forget about the real life problems, all the struggles that are going on in the real life. You can just completely zone out of that and zone into this media. One of my favorite things to do in general, ever, is just zone into media. And adventure animes really get me, man. They get me. They understand me. Before we get into it, spoiler warning. I don't want to ruin the first 7 episodes for you. I'm going to talk about them. So, watch the show first if you care. It is from a manga that came out in 2000, so, you've been warned. Like I said, it tackles some heavy themes. Blind prejudice against demons. You also have a controlling government that's controlling all of the water in the whole world and charging you for it. Pretty evil. But at the end of the day, it's all good. Happy ending. But similar to Dragon Ball, which of course it's going to be similar to Dragon Ball, because Toriyama made it. R.I.P. The show is more about the adventure. Like I said earlier, the characters and the relationships and the world, the creatures, the artifacts, all these really cool things culminating together into this magical dystopian world. That's my favorite part, if you can't tell, is the world. There's magical creatures, there's interesting artifacts, there's magical artifacts, there's aquanium that can explode. It's basically a nuke. There's anti-grav stones in the tanks. Why you need that? Make the tank light enough so a demon can lift it to shoot in the sky? That's the only reason I can think of. The creatures are great. I mean, this is something I knew was going to be the case, right? Dragon Ball has dinosaurs and dragons and beasts and all these really interesting creatures that make up the world. One of my favorite things in One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, is just the amount of magical creatures, the expansive world, just building up this world so that there's a ton of stuff. And Sandland seems to be doing that really well. You have just a ton of different kind of demons. You have like the demon that Beelzebub is, but you've also got like a normal looking old man like demon. You also got this little blue guy, a centaur guy, the sand dragon, there's insect men, there's dinosaurs, there's water finches, just a bunch of stuff. This is 7 episodes, by the way, 7 episodes. There's an angel guy that has multiple crazy powers. The powers themselves are really interesting. Of course, Bells has like this cool burst of evil energy, darkness energy, whatever that is. I'm sure that'll be expanded a lot in the future. I mean, it basically just one-shotted a bunch of insect men, which is cool, but a little underwhelming. I'm sure it'll be expanded in the future. But the angel guy has a bunch of cool powers. He can like control people with his mind, but not like in a weird guy way, in like a telekinesis way. He can also summon like thunderbolts, weak ones, but maybe that'll be better. I have a lot of hopes for that guy. I think the angel guy, he's probably gonna do something crazy, I mean, he's got this magical artifact now. Like, what does that earn? What is that? The characters are great. They're straightforward and simple, but not at all in a bad way. I feel like I've said that a couple times already, but it's not a bad thing. I mean, Bells is basically like Fiend Goku. He's a little bit more put together. He's a little smarter. His ridiculous agility comparing to Goku. He can jump and run and hear things really well. He's kind of like Gon from Hunter x Hunter. His great agility and good senses. He can speak to people through their mind. But past just his physical attributes and abilities, I mean, he's a good, well-written character. Bells and Rao, their relationship, it grows so well through these few episodes, this one small adventure they have. They learn to grow and rely on each other and trust each other along the way. Same with Thief, he's also in that trio. The trio just has a lot of synergy. They all have strengths and weaknesses that the others can hopefully make up for. There's a handful of short moments that expand these characters further without being long, dragged out moments. Like at one point, Bells has a minute, probably less than a minute, with his dad, I guess the King of Demons. And from just that short minute that we get with them, we kind of understand their dynamic a little bit better. You can see that he's maybe a little fearful of his dad because he doesn't act like he does with anybody else around his dad. So it's probably respect, but it's also maybe a little bit of fear. Rao is also a great character. It's kind of expected that he's going to be this higher up in the war from the past. He definitely did some crazy shit, but I didn't really expect him to be betrayed so horrifically by Zoe. Supreme Commander Zoe. And that guy sucks. Like, if you want to talk about like a hateable guy, that's your guy. But seeing Rao fighting his demons, metaphorical that is, it's good. It's a good journey. He goes on a really good journey. I mean, he goes from one day thinking he's just gonna go get some water from a random spring. Maybe he has like his suspicions that it's, you know, the King's Spring, but he's still naive. He's still hopeful that he can just go and find a random spring to save his village. And then in such a short time, he finds out that he was betrayed so terribly by his supreme commander that he was actually trying to kill him. And he wants revenge, and then he mercies him. He's a really good guy, a great character. I mean, if we're talking good characters, even General Ari, I thought he was just a random guy. Like, I thought he was gonna be a one-off, like, henchman guy, and he wasn't. He had a whole ass transformation in like 5 episodes where he became like a good guy, a genuinely a good human being. The characters are great. The relationships they created are very good. Just like other Toriyama works, like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and all of that stuff, that's really all I know from Toriyama. He has a really good balance of humor and real moments, serious moments. He's really good at bringing out the funny of these scenarios while also, you know, having good, heartfelt, real moments. And this series is no stranger to that. There's a lot of good humor. I think Thief has some of my favorite humor moments in the whole show, or at least of what we have so far. At one point, he whips out this Santa costume, and he's wearing the Santa costume, and his reasoning is that it lets him get away easier. And that's just not true. That just can't be true. I mean, I think it would bring up more of a commotion if you saw Santa running away with a bag of stolen goods. I mean, I would be more inclined to chase after him and be confused, and you know what I mean? And then he takes off the Santa hat and he's mad that it ruined his hair. So he gets out this hairspray and like does it up like alfalfa. And dude, that shit's funny. It's funny. He has some really funny moments, and there's just a lot of funny moments in the show. So far, we've got a lot of like tank warfare and guns, which is also cool. The range of the warfare, the range of these fights is pretty solid, right? The insect bug men, they got metal armored skin and they punch really hard. They got claws. Also, final thing, because I know some of you are probably thinking this, I don't love the animation style. It's not my thing. I see why some people like it. The 2D, 3D, CGI mix. It's not really my thing, right? And I know the last Dragon Ball movie was that way too. And it also was not my thing. And if we take it even a step further, right? The Broly movie, a lot of the fight stuff was in CGI. And it looked good. I mean, the fights in Broly movie was crazy. Like, those fights were, I mean, S-tier anime fights, right? Like, they were nuts. And the mix of the 2D and 3D was kind of weird, but it worked. And I feel like the whole movie, or the whole show in this instance, being this way, didn't work for me. I like the 2D, I like anime style more than the 3D, you know, style. It's not really my thing. To me, it kind of feels like a video game, and like a video game cutscene, or maybe even just like a video game fight. And it's not for me. It's not my style. As for now, I had a great time watching this. I hope you watched it as well, and I'm very excited for the upcoming weeks, the rest of this series. I think I heard that it was 13 episodes total. So like 6 more episodes, or maybe that the next arc is 13 episodes. So I don't know. We might have more episodes for a couple months. We might just have them for, 2 months, which is a couple months. It might be like 4 months or 5 months. But it might be 2 months. Whatever. I'm along for the ride. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below what you thought of Sandland. But don't comment the manga spoilers. And subscribe.